Hi, this is Joseph. Today is Friday. It's July 29th, and I'm going to answer a few questions here in this video about my trading system and my trading strategy. So if you're considering using my trade copier, you may be wondering, what kind of trading strategy do I use? Do I trade the news? Do I use stop loss? What size stop loss do I use? What's the average take profit? And hopefully some of this information will answer a lot of those questions. Number one, I always use a stop loss. And I know a lot of people say that, but I really have to. And the reason is that some of the funding companies that I personally use and some of the funding companies that a lot of my trade copier subscribers use, those companies they absolutely require that a stop loss has to be placed at the time that the trade is opened. So every time I execute a trade on the MT4 platform, I always enter in the stop loss. I always know where it's at. And today's trade was pretty interesting. This is US 30, by the way. This is a 5-minute chart. And what you're seeing here on the screen is it's an activity, it's an exercise that I teach a lot of my private coaching clients. I call it counting the waves. And what we're doing is averaging the wave activity with volume. So this is real volume here. You could use it with tick volume on MetaTrader, but I prefer to look at, let's say, a futures contract. I do the same thing with Forex. And if you look at some of my videos, you'll see that I do that with Forex as well. So with pound dollar, euro dollar, I'm looking at euro futures and pound futures. And that way I can see and get a more accurate reading of the amount of volume that's going on at the same time. So you can see here that I'm also determining the amount of supply and demand. It's basically that's what it is at its core. I won't turn this into a training video, but you can see how I'm looking for these turning points and weaknesses and strength in some of these moves. And this morning, this was highlighting this area right here. Now, I'm about to get another signal, so I'm going to wrap this up and make this quick. But this morning, this was at 5:30 California time, so this is 8:30 New York time. And this bar right here was the one that locked in everybody here during the overnight session. And you can see what it did. It just kind of, some people refer to this as a gotcha bar. What it does is it kind of slams everybody in and locks them in at that point. And then as you can see it reversing, you see a lot more volume at the same time that the US market is opening. And it gives me a really good opportunity to take a trade. This is not something that develops every single day. You got to be careful with it. So it's not a strategy where you look for a 5-minute bar before the US market opens and then jump in. You don't look for a reversal that way. You have to be able to specifically and pinpoint this particular opportunity right here. This is a very specific setup that locks traders in that are trying to go long as of yesterday and get stuck into that position, and then the ones that kind of short and get into it and sell it off of the resistance levels prior to this reversal with the New York Open. It was a really easy setup to see. You just got to wait for it to all develop, and then I'm watching the amount of volume and the activity in these reversals. So I'm able to calculate the reversals. Here you can see that we're getting a lot more activity here to the downside, but it's not clearing. It's not going anywhere. It's that amount of effort versus the amount of result in this price action, the behavior here. And you can see here, there's one last final move with 49.41 contracts here in a 5-minute bar, and it still doesn't go anywhere. And you can see where the close is. It's well above the lows. So this gives me, a potential setup, and then I wait for the reversal. And then, of course, here was my breakout. Now, I get in about 10 points above the high on the US 30, and then this was my target right up here, just above the resistance level. So a decent trade, not a bad trade at all. I use a stop loss in every situation. Again, I always enter in a stop loss every time I get into the trade. I'm going to close this up real quick because I'm about to get a signal here, and I don't want to miss this next trade. So again, if you've got any other questions about my trading system, the same trading system that I use with the trade copier, please send me an email. If you're ready and you want to start copying my trades, you can get a trade just like this. I trade the US 30. Next week, I'll be trading Forex a lot more, so there'll be additional trades, and you can use and copy all of my trades to pass an evaluation with a funded challenge or to earn your funded account. And then you can continue to use and copy all of my trade signals or my trades with the trade copier to trade your live funded account. So technically, you don't even have to place a trade, and you could be earning profits from your funded account every single month if you use my trade copier.